Hi, my name is Gio, and today I wish to share with you 5 tips that I find incredibly powerful for emotional release. So, first, I would like to just quickly talk about what I mean when I say emotional release. And to really give you an example, I just would like to ask you if you can remember any time in your life where you just felt really stuck and just very kind of dead, like when you don't feel like doing anything and when the world just seems like such a boring place and I don't want to get out of bed and I just want to watch some kind of series and like eat cookies and not have to deal with anything, not have to deal with my friends, with my family, with my work, just stay in bed the whole day with no energy, no motivation, just bleh. And so, if you're like me and you have experienced days like this, I've been experimenting with very different techniques in the last years on how to come out of this as quick and efficient as possible. And in my experience, most often this happens when I'm emotionally stuck, when I'm emotionally blocked. It's usually because there's something in me that is like craving attention, especially when it's like these type of emotions that I'm just not willing to see, that I don't want to deal with, and I just suppress. And very often I would suppress it with food or just clicking on Facebook, watching useless stuff just to pass the day, while actually there's something in here that really craves attention, but I suppress it. And usually this suppression is what makes the energy drain. Me suppressing this emotion is what makes me really tired and unmotivated and just blah. And I've over and over experienced that if I tune in to myself and I realize what's happening and I allow that emotion to move and really see it for what it is without like identifying with it and saying, oh my god, it's the end of the world, I'm so sad. No, just like, whoa, there's sadness, there's anger, there's frustration coming, and let it come. And so whenever that happens, I now would like to share with you 5 tools that I find really helpful to then move this emotion. So tool number 1 is shaking. What I mean with shaking is shaking of the body. And this tool, I got it from different workshops and different experiences. And you can also actually see it in animals, that animals do this all the time. If you see a dog or a duck or whatever type of animal, if they get into some type of fight and then they want to just go and do their own thing, they usually shake that out. And then they're back. They're back in their presence. They don't take things personally. They're just... And so I found it really, really amazing to shake. And I do this so often. Today I actually did it because I woke up really feeling like with no energy whatsoever. And I did yoga, I did my morning practices, and still was feeling really stuck. And I was like, what is happening? And so I just put loud, like, energizing music, kind of tribal maybe, with some drums, which is really amazing. And then just stand on my both feet. I feel it really helps to have the feet grounded so you don't get dizzy. But, sorry, my computer is dying. But stay grounded and then start shaking, and then shake the full body, and really being aware of the fullness of the body, like allowing every muscle to just shake and move and shake, and also concentrating on the pelvis, so the area of the sacrum underneath your belly, and like shaking that area, because a lot of emotions get stuck there from my experience. And I would recommend doing this not just for 5 seconds or 10 seconds, but actually going like for maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes. Really giving it a chance, because sometimes it feels, oh yeah, no, I'm done. I'm good. I have enough energy. But actually, if I go through it and I continue, I suddenly feel these bursts of energy starting to flow through my body. And the longer I go, usually the more energy I have and the more release I have afterwards. And I would also recommend after, not just like continuing with your normal day, but sitting down, meditating a little bit, just coming back, breathing, noticing what's happening in the body, and integrating. So this was tip number 1. Tip number 2 is journaling. And I find journaling really also extremely helpful, and I do this nearly also every day. And I do it on my computer, on my iPad. Before I used to write, and I just write whatever I want to write, like whatever wants to come out. I don't care about making it fancy, making it nice. Nobody has to read it. It's just, again, just allowing things to flow. And for example, 2 days ago, I was feeling stuck, and I had my journal in front of me, and I was looking at it, and I was just like, oh my god, I don't even want to write. I'm just, ugh, I hate this. So what I did was actually start writing. I really don't want to write right now. I just feel so much resistance towards writing. I hate all this, and and then whoa, all this stuff started coming out. And I did a huge text, and it was incredible emotional release, and to help me get aware of what is actually happening within me, and that like where all these thoughts are coming from and how useless they are, or what do they mean. So this is tip number 2, which is journaling. Tip number 3 is something that I really love doing, is I go out, because sometimes I don't feel so comfortable speaking at home because I have people living. So I go out and I take my iPhone or whatever phone you have, and I put on voice recorder, and I pretend that I'm talking on the phone with somebody, so that people don't think I'm weird. Not that I really mind, but still, it makes it actually feel fun. And so I talk, and I start talking as if I'm talking to a friend, or to myself, or to whoever I wish. And just really like, oh my god, I don't know what's happening. I'm walking on the street, and I'm just feeling so frustrated. Like, I don't know what is all this coming from, and and I can go on for a really long time, and it really helps in a bit different way than journaling, because here I'm using my voice, and voice is an amazing way to express and allow the energy also to move through the whole body, and not just be in the mind, but really express and talk. And then I can also speak more emotionally and use the tone of voice to express my feelings, and it often really helps me. Okay, now tip number 4. Tip number 4 is a bit more advanced. Tip number 4 would be to ask somebody to hold space for you while you do an emotional release. So how would this work is that you can approach somebody who you trust, who you feel would be open to hear you, and also tuning into their energy, that they feel pretty stable to you, they're not also all emotional, and approach them and ask them, hey, I feel kind of weird, and I would really like you to hold space for me like just for, I don't know, 5-7 minutes, just like sit and just watch me, and I just wanna like, yeah, can you do that for me, please? And this is incredibly powerful and super beautiful and just wow, magical. And the other person can say no, and here I must respect what the other person wishes, and then maybe you can go look for another person, or you can use the other tools to release your emotions and this new emotion that just appeared as somebody told you no. But it's an amazing practice. Just to ask for that is incredibly powerful. To really ask for what we want and to ask for help is beautiful. Okay, so going back, tip number 1 is shaking. Tip number 2 is journaling. Tip number 3 is, what would I call this? Phone call? Fake phone call. Tip number 4 is asking somebody to hold space for you. And tip number 5, I haven't thought of this one. I thought it would come to me intuitively, but I'm not, it's not here yet. Tip number 5. I guess that tip number 5 can be catharsis. And this one is not so easy to create the space for it, but it's probably the most powerful one because it allows for the full letting go and expression of whatever wants to happen. With catharsis, what I mean is, so I have this idea from Osho meditations. If you would like to read more about all this, you can read in the description. And what happens is just creating a space where you can just go full on, like fully wild, and scream and jump and hit pillows and like cry like a baby and shout and use all the words you want to use and just go really like mad. And I find that it's so powerful because usually since from the moment we start becoming adults or like teenagers, the society is kind of like makes us into this box, and emotions are not welcome, especially things like anger, frustration, sadness, jealousy. These things are not welcome, and so we suppress them. And having a space like that where we're able to again tune into these emotions and just go wild like babies do. Whenever they feel something is strange, they just cry and they do and then they laugh again because they allowed it to flow. They're not like saying, oh my god, I just cried, I'm the most sad person ever. No, they want to cry, they cry. They want to scream, they scream. And then they laugh, and then they laugh. And then it's just a flow. There's emotions, there's nothing wrong with emotions. It's such a natural thing. So, of course, to do this, then I would recommend having like your space where you know that nobody is like close by and will hear you. If you are a bit afraid of using your voice too much, you can still do this, like maybe combine shaking and put some pillows on the floor and hit pillows, which I find really also powerful to just like allow the energy to move. And what I do is I put pillows in front of me, I stand on my knees, and then I hit the pillows with my arms and this whole area, paying close attention to the back so that you're not like doing anything wrong with the back, and just like and like really going full on anger with whatever wants to happen, and then maybe you want to cry, and then maybe you want to shout, and then yes. So this would be my number 5 tip for emotional release. And if you would really like to experience this full on, you can go to different workshops. I know that Osho has different meditations on this, so maybe you have an Osho studio close by, and there's different retreats like Magic of Love or Ista training, where they go into these type of practices, or conscious sensuality, where they release a lot of emotions. If you would like to know more about this, I guess I will speak more about it sometime in the future, or you can also ask me in the comments below. And I'm really excited to share these 5 tips with you. I've been mastering them. I've been using them so much, and they help me a lot to keep energized, to keep going, to release a lot of trauma and tension, and just be like open and with myself. And I hope that maybe they can inspire you. Maybe you would like to try one of them or all of them. Go for it. And I would love to hear back from you how it worked, what happened to you. Or if you have your own emotional release tools, I would love to know them. Let's share, and thank you so much. I'm off to the Tantra Festival in Sweden tomorrow. So I will maybe bring some new inspiration for next week. Have a beautiful weekend.